while we're on this topic of making in India, I want to just take off on a tangent a little bit away from Elon Musk, because we have Amit also joining us. Amit, making in India is concerned. Modi means business is one thing that's very clearly coming out from this state visit. Even as he landed, there is news coming out that, Google is looking to shift its iPhone, its Pixel phone, beg my pardon, not the iPhone. The Google Pixel phones is manufacturing, Freudian slip if I may, Google Pixel phones is manufacturing to completely shift them to India.
They are following Apple's example. Apple has taken the early lead in taking advantage.
So my slip is justified.
Yes. You meant it. They took an early lead in taking advantage of PM's PLI scheme.
Yeah.
Okay. Today, Apple is manufacturing worth of 7 billion phones from India. These Google Pixels last year's manufacture was 9 million phones. So it's a huge amount of phones that they manufacture. So that is one thing that they want to take advantage of, and I would like to say that they are following Apple in this one. They're already in talks with Dixon Foxconn, which is one of the suppliers of Apple also, and Lava in India. Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav met Sundar Pichai in May. So it has been in the works. So yeah, that's one thing. And I believe even Elon Musk is, when he said that 1%, you just need 1% of land to basically generate electricity enough for India. I believe he's looking at even creating infrastructure for electric cars, backward linkages in India.
Fantastic. From mobile phones to electric cars, this is quite the wide gambit. It's fascinating. Another thing about what Elon Musk was talking about is that his confidence when it comes to investing in India and the camaraderie that he shares with, because this is not a social media company that he has. Yes, he has social media companies as one of his activities. You're talking about heavy industry, manufacturing, and for that, for somebody like him to have that camaraderie with Narendra Modi only increases his propensity to spend and invest in India.
And he's saying he's going to visit India next year. Yeah. He's not coming to India for a holiday on the beaches of Goa, right?
Nope.
I think he's definitely coming to further accentuate his business ties with India.
Yeah.
And I think the larger story which is coming out of the US is also the fact that overall this mistrust on China and how the world got impacted with China going under the zero COVID policy and overall the mistrust owing to COVID and where it originated from, etc. And overall how supply chains got hit across the world. I think the world is very seriously looking at investing in India and India becoming the manufacturing hub, the factory of the world. And that is visible across industries. Amit was talking about phones, the Google Pixel. Before that, we saw how last year we had $11 billion worth of smartphone exports from India.
Yep.
And 50% of those were Apple.
Yep.
Now, Apple, well before setting up its own showrooms in India, before setting up retail, brick and mortar retail, 2 stores in India, long before that had in partnerships to continue manufacturing in India. Now we are at a cusp of iPhones also getting manufactured. Up until now, you only had casings, you had certain components, you had assembly happening in India. But now we are looking at core iPhone manufacturing to also kickstart in India.
Yep.
So overall, the message is clear. All serious players who mean business are looking a little away from China, looking straight into India and promising to make big investments, which are not a social cost for them. There is value that they seem to derive out of their investments in India.
Oh, fascinating. Also, Elon Musk and India is a story that has to be also spoken about in context of SpaceX as well.
Yeah.
I don't think enough gets discussed about SpaceX's plans for India. The moment do people think Elon Musk, Twitter, Tesla. That's about it. Amit, do you want to comment on how do you think in terms of SpaceX and Elon Musk's own ambitions of pushing SpaceX in India?
India, ISRO makes the cheapest launch vehicles in the world. So I believe a marry of technology is there on the cards, is there for the taking. How it plays out, and I would come back to the meeting between Modi and Musk. I believe it had little to do with Twitter or Jack Dorsey's comment. It had more to do with basically setting up manufacturing and technology transfer in India.
Right. Amit, stay with us. We also have Mr. Rakesh Garg joining us live on the broadcast. Rakesh ji, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us. Fascinating sequence of events, from the build-up for Prime Minister Modi's visit to what happened on day one. I want to understand what really struck you as far as his meeting with Elon Musk is concerned, because that's what we're discussing at this point in time. Fascinating meeting and fascinating reactions coming from Mr. Musk after the meeting.
Hi, morning, Krishna. It's very important to note that, while as each visit by an Indian head of state to US has been exceptional, there has been a certain trajectory that has been followed in the India-US ties post the nuclear, agreement deal that was done by Manmohan Singh government. But this particular visit with Modi, has been cast in the larger context of economy. It's the economy that's driving this particular, trajectory. In that sense, the focus on economic ties between the two countries is going to be the larger narrative that's going to, so to say, define the success of this visit. Coming to Musk, I think there wouldn't be a better occasion to kickstart the visit with a meeting with Musk and Modi, and both are very warm and affable. And I think what we saw and heard of Musk is interesting in terms of the camera entry, but I would have loved him to be a little more specific in terms of committing a plan to India. He's been a little vacillating in what he's been talking about, India when it comes to establishing a plant in India. First, he said India is a difficult market. Then he said that, we cannot miss and not be in India. And then finally, he said, we will not set up a plant. That was the latest tweet that he did. But we are committed to be in India. So, a little more specifics hopefully will come as they pan out. Yes, in terms of the chemistry and the visibility that Prime Minister Modi's visit gets with this high-profile meeting with Elon Musk sets the right tone for the visit right away. Krishna, rightly mentioned, we do get a lot of focus on the Tesla cars and Twitter. Twitter, of course, in terms of business proposition, is a non-entity, though India is a growing market for it. But yes, the Starlink internet, I just want to put that in context. Tusk has run the huge bad weather with China on that. One of the key problems between Elon Musk and the Chinese establishment is that China sees Elon Musk as using this particular facility or as this particular business as a means of surveillance on Chinese installation. So obviously Musk is looking at expanding the canvas there very clearly, with India being more favorable to global companies in telecom, where there's the stated intent, and there are already many of them in India. You mentioned Google, we know Apple. So in that sense, that is probably going to be a far more significant and strategic investment, details of which we still don't know. On the car side, I don't think Government of India is going to whittle down on any customs duty cut. Even when Musk probably has a very valid point when he says that if India is pushing for energy timelines, there's a stated mission. Why doesn't it, create a differential tariff structure for fossil fuel-led imported cars and energy-efficient imported cars? So in that sense, a very, very important step going forward. And I do believe that, the state visit and the meeting with the vice president, all that is more of optics. What we must look at, it is the economy again. What do we get with tangible results from meetings between the US, top business leaders in India, of course, which has been, so to say, presided over, organized, enabled by the US establishment. Believe me, this entire excitement is about the Indian economic growth story. To my sense, India's economic rise is real. Possibly it is durable, and going forward, it has its own challenges. And as Goldman Sachs said, India is going to drive the global growth agenda with China. The IMF also endorsed their point of view. China has its own challenges. We have the real strength of democracy. And when we work with the US, it is the large grand alliance of democracy. And I call it the double democratic dividend. So in that sense, that is going to define the larger piece going forward between India and US, where both these countries will set the tone for an equitable growth in the global level.
A car there, putting that into perspective, not just what happened in the last 24 hours, but the entire visit, this first state visit by Prime Minister Modi in the US. That's why the show is called Modi Means Business. It's all about business. It's the economy is stupid, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Rakesh Garg,
Nothing else matters.
Wrote a wonderful piece on News9 Live as well. So all those watching this broadcast, please do log on to news9live.com and read Rakesh Garg's piece on Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US. It's the economy is stupid is where it begins. Talk to us about specifically that Rakeshji pointed out that we don't discuss enough. That is the Starlink internet, which is meant to provide internet to the most inaccessible areas, Karthik.
My point being, will the incumbent players ever permit that to happen? So you have a great technology. It's already prevalent, I think, in over 50 countries, where Starlink is providing satellite-based internet to the most rural of rural areas. But we've got great internet penetration already, and India right now is in a situation that we have pretty much a duopoly, even though it's not a stated duopoly, but we have two big players, which is Jio, Reliance owned Jio, and Airtel, pretty much commanding a good 80% of the market. So in that scenario, and this penetration only deepening with every passing day, and the billions of investments made in fiber optic cables and overall the whole fiber network, is Starlink going to have it easy in India? Question number one. Simple answer, no way. I don't think anybody is going to make Elon Musk's life simple when Starlink were to come to India, if it were to come to India. Second, I think overall security concerns, data security, where are the servers going to be housed? Where is all that data getting accumulated? And who has access to shut down those servers? We talk about free speech, but then we know there are inherent challenges to that as well. So, are servers going to be placed in India? If not, I think we are not looking at a starting point. And number three, I think most importantly, internet is something which is very, very closely linked to information dissemination. We need to have complete right, complete ownership over that. So I think there are incumbent players, well-to-do incumbent players commanding a large pie of the market, and we've got data security concerns. So both of these together are going to make Starlink's entry into India, to my mind, really, really difficult, if not impossible.